Good morning and welcome to the Collector's Desk. My name is Brendan Allen. I'm senior editor over at comiccon.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner there, we got Mr. Brett Lawson, a student of the game and some other stuff I don't even remember, but from Las Vegas, Nevada. Down in the lower left there, Mr. Paul Vato. You know him from Mad TV and commercials and all kinds of crap. And over in the right-hand lower corner, we have Mr. Erik Amaya, senior. No, he's not senior editor. I'm senior editor. He is editor-in-chief of comiccon.com. How is it going, lads? You may notice that Eric, or not Eric, Jesus Christ, I can't even talk today. You may notice that Steve is not with us today. He said something about stocking up his bunker for the end times. He thinks that there's an asteroid or some shit coming, something about flat earth and disk and ice wall. But,
not the ice wall, no!
Tartarians, giants that bred with angels or some shit. I don't even know.
You guys know that the earth is flat,
reading
right?
Hellboy, didn't he? This sounds like someone who got deep into Hellboy and suddenly it's real. So
I don't know. He was last time I saw him, he had like Ayn Rand under his arm, and he was walking around with it. Like,
we've lost our boy Steve. We've lost him for good.
So Brett, how are things treating you in Vegas?
Good, man. Weather's definitely starting to heat up, but things are solid. Obviously, the last time we were on, we were talking soccer. Actually, really the last two shows we've talked a little bit soccer. Obviously, not exactly the exit people were hoping for or planned, even expecting. But I think, lo and behold, an exit was inevitable at some point in the near future. Maybe not in that fashion, but ultimately, no, man, things are well. The summer actually isn't dragging by too slow. But right as I say that, I'll probably enter that period where the dog days of summer can't go by quick enough. So.
Nice. And Paul, Chicago, it's windy, I hear, in that city.
It's a very windy city, and it's not just because of the politicians, but because of the lake effect. There's also heavy winds, but it's a beautiful city, man.
No, when you say heavy winds, you got to do like this right here. Heavy winds coming in from the north.
Yeah, meteorologist Paul.
You can't say heavy winds. Like, nobody says heavy winds that's not a meteorologist. That was a big faux pas.
Yeah, that's so true. You have to be immersed in that industry in order.
People
to
just say windy
jargon. Right.
I could be. You sort of already crapped on my art, by saying it was. Paul does acting and commercials and crap. So I could. Let's throw weatherman in there. Why not?
Yeah. I think you make a good weatherman. You should wear a green shirt though, so you could just
disembodied, or just a disembodied head floating.
Nice. And then Erik, I know you're pulling your hair out over preparation for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, it is San Diego Comic-Con time. It is a real deal, and it's so funny because people who don't work the show like they don't know like how kind of concentrated and intense it can be to actually work San Diego, because it's like, I just get in a line and I bought a toy, and like, not for me. It's I have to be places at a certain time, and that particular kind of slow walking gait that people have on the show floor. It's like, I have an interview. I need to talk to Todd McFarlane. Get out of my way.
I need to talk to Todd. Gotta work.
Yeah, no, I know about that too. I know, people walk a little too slow on that floor. So, you gotta find your ways around.
Well, I can't even tell you how many times in a week I have the conversation where people are like, oh, your job must be so fun. It's like, well, yeah, it has its moments, but this is your Saturday. This is my job.
It's still a job. Exactly. It's still a job. Right. Yeah.
You're about to say, Paul?
I didn't realize Erik was from Chicago. That's a wonderful Chicago accent that you got
Thank
going
you.
there.
That wasn't really the intent, because Todd McFarlane sounds like this, but he's from Toronto. And
Toronto's close enough. That's one of the cities that hugs the border, right?
It has the twang. It has twang.
But apparently that is like a genuine Toronto accent.
Right.
But, like, not everyone in Toronto sounds like that, but apparently, yes, you will find people who sound like Todd McFarlane in Toronto.
Quebec, even the people who are not French sound French.
Yes. Very true. Very true. No, it is.
Quebecois is a big thing.
Wait, that's
true.
I would love to hear, and maybe right now is not the time for it, but I would love to hear what a day does look like for you, Erik, at Comic-Con. Of course, if I was invited, I could experience it myself.
Right.
So just invited.
You don't want to go to San Diego.
You do not.
That's not the one to get started
already with. In the San Diego Comic-Con ecosystem, you don't want to be there.
Yeah. Good luck.
It is a lot. It's wow, how do I even start? It's like you're Okay, if you're coming in from Los Angeles, you're already dealing with the Southbound 5, which is kind of the Fury Road. Between LA and San Diego, that's kind of the Fury Road. So, you're already facing war boys and imperators and that's even before you get to Orange County. And then you get to Orange County and it's people trying to get to the racetrack in like North San Diego County. So even if you take the train, like the train is also crazy. There was one year where I was late to a bunch of appointments because a meat truck literally turned over by Camp Pendleton, and they spent 5 hours clearing the meat off the highway.
And by clearing the meat off the highway, he's talking about bystanders, not any official.
No, right, exactly. I mean, because it's already cooking on the asphalt, so you're getting a nice steak.
Well, I mean, it's packaged though, but if you get one that's 2 or 3 down, it's still kind of cold.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was a euphemism because
no, not a euphemism.
It meat off the highway once in a while.
A meat truck spilling meat on the highway. But that's not the only weird, because it's never just, it was, a 2-car crash and they had to spend however long clearing that. I remember one year Quentin Tarantino couldn't get to San Diego because a big rig full of foam insulation had turned over and spilled all the insulation out on the 5. And the big problem is, if it happens around Camp Pendleton, there's no way to divert traffic.
Yeah.
Like you're just stuck.
It's just funneled in.
Yeah.
I love how Eric, this is like divergent. Eric's all like, Paul, don't. You don't want to come here.
No, I said it first because the thing is, I've gone to Denver, I've gone to New York, I've gone to all different conventions. I will not go to San Diego because I know it's going to trigger me so hard.
Oh yeah, no. You I think particularly would just.
Right.
I mean, the fact that I can get through it, I think, is only because I've been doing it for 30 years.
He started back in the day when it was in the back of some comic book shop. And
No. My first year, it was in fact already in the convention center, but the convention center was half the size at the time. There was no Hall H. Movies weren't really. Let me rephrase that. Big new movies weren't a thing. They had a film program and people did show up and kind of present movies from time to time, but it wasn't
like a promo vehicle.
It wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
Every convention has their big
out for that one big hall, right? That didn't happen.
Right.
Every convention has their niche, their big thing that they their thing. And San Diego is the movie premieres or whatever. But New York Comic-Con, I'm thankful that the venue is big enough to support the event. That is the only saving grace of New York. You can walk from one end of the venue to the other end of the venue, and you've gone 1.5 miles. It's a huge. The Javits is enormous, and they keep expanding onto it as it grows. But the thing about the Javits is you might have something like a panel on the side where they've got all the big showrooms, but then you have an interview and you have to get back over to the writer's side, which is way on the other side. It's 1.5 miles away. So you got to give yourself 15-20 minutes to get there because it's so packed in between. I do like at the Javits though, that they have an outer hall around the inner parts. So it's really easy to get from one place to another without going through all the people. So for people who are neurodivergent, they have a quiet room that you can go to that no sound is allowed. You're allowed to be on your phone, do whatever you're doing, take a nap, whatever you need to do.
Oh, wow.
But also you can walk around the outside to get to the other side if you know that your artist or whatever you're trying to see is on that side instead of going through the sea of people, which is really, really nice. That's a good design for a convention center of that magnitude, I think.
Let me ask you guys both this as veterans of the industry. If San Diego Comic-Con is the one where the floodgates just break open before you even get to the venue, which one is the smoothest process of them all?
You're talking big conventions?
Yes, that's distinction, because it's easy to say at small-time conventions, smooth. In terms of the big ones that actually have some oomph to them, what's the easiest?
D23 Expo.
Oh, wow.
D23 is a good one.
Yeah.
Really?
D23. It is so shockingly well organized.
Well, but think about Disney.
Artist, right?
No, Disney is. You got to remember they are experts at moving hundreds of thousands of people around.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
In a small area all day long.
That's
as
their MO.
smoothly as possible.
That's their MO.
No, right? They know their crowd control, so it is so shockingly well done.
That's awesome.
Even when they move the big if it's a 3-day event, night 1 and night 2 are the entertainment presentation and the parks presentation, and they've moved them to the Honda Center.
Okay, Anaheim.
Maybe 1 mile, 2 miles away.
Yep.
And last time around was the first time they tried doing it. It was so well done. Like I could
Really?
have gotten on a shuttle, I could have done all the stuff, I Ubered over, but the way that they planned it all out was amazing. And then the next day, because I wasn't going to the parks panel, I noticed right around the time that the shuttles like were available for people to go over to the Honda Center, the show floor just emptied out.
Wow. Just
But they left it open for anyone who wasn't going to go to the parks panel, so I was able to do a lot of stuff.
right.
Because
like, I got fast
everybody was
passes.
at the parks panel. You know,
I had
it
the
was-
lightning
it was
lane.
cool. Yeah, no, and that's not even an upcharge thing either. It's like for once, it wasn't an upcharge thing. It was very, very smooth, very frictionless. D23 is happening again this year, and I hope it remains smooth.
Yes, sir,
What's
Paul.
What's D23 for those idiots that don't know?
It's,
Oh,
the
right.
Disney, it's the big
I
Disney
see, I know.
convention.
It's Disney's Comic-Con. Like it is.
So
I mean, it's weird though because it's part trade show. Like
Right.
it's more of a trade show vibe than a Comic-Con, but it is open to the general public, so it is.
and there are
you know,
definitely
a fan convention.
Disney bounders and cosplayers and
Yeah.
stuff like it happens. Yeah.
Where
It
is it?
seems like yeah, go ahead.
Anaheim. It's
Yeah.
in Anaheim.
Where else would it be?
It's-
It's in Anaheim.
Right.
But
has to
like-
be.
like
That's
at
their
the park?
backyard.
At
Not
the
at the
park
park.
or
Civic.
at a convention center?
Or the
Yeah, it's at the convention center, which is
Yeah.
across the street from the parks. So
and then they
so it's
and then they
you know,
shuttle over to the Civic Center, which is their main venue in Anaheim. I've been there a couple of times to cover fights. It's interesting because Eric, we've kind of talked about this on the show before. It seems like initially D23 was the stuff that they throw out that they couldn't have done presentation wise in time for Hall H for San Diego Comic Con. Now it seems like they sometimes outright prioritize D23, and like a lot of times, especially for Marvel, Feige has like foregone any opportunity to get at Hall H if it means getting more people in D23.
It's interesting the way that's evolved because that
Right.
was certainly true in the beginning, but the pandemic kind of screwed it up. So Marvel only comes to Hall H in San Diego every other year.
Yes.
Like you know, you will see an article from a certain trade publication that will act like it's like, ooh, something's wrong because Marvel isn't coming. And then towards the end of the article, they'll mention Marvel Studios typically only comes to San Diego every other year.
Right.
And the original idea was that was supposed to be the off year from D23. But then
They
the
pivot.
pandemic screwed that up. So now the every other year thing means that they're here on the D23 year as well. So the Marvel presentation at D23 last time around was kind of a repeat. Like it wasn't too much new.
Right, but like-
you know, as opposed to the Hall H presentation.
If you have your own channel, right, Ted Turner, you're not trying to promote wrestling on NBC. Like you're going to put it on your own channel, right? They're big enough, and it's a big enough deal now that the announcements coming out of D23 are covered like it's a convention. So I mean, what is the benefit besides? Well, I guess there is still a benefit going to San Diego, but like it's almost as big when the announcements come or whatever. Especially for Disney people who follow that stuff, they go to
Yeah.
D23. They don't go to San Diego.
Right. And it's like it's absolute
San
PR
Diego
machine in the
is-
process. Yeah.
You know, San Diego is still kind of the thing, and I think it's kind of a maybe on Feige's part, it's kind of a loyalty thing because
the roots,
he did that
the
first
grassroots.
panel before Iron Man all
Yeah.
those years ago, and kind of actually spilled the beat. Like there's video of him kind of admitting that Avengers was always going to happen. You know,
Right.
that the idea even from the jump was, yeah, we want these characters to all appear. We want them to come together. We want it to be the shared thing like it is in the comics.
From my perspective of an outsider, it seems like D23 really started from the more casual, middle of the road fan who may actually even indulge like religiously in the actual content, but not the convention side. It seems like D23 started to pick up steam when the Infinity War trailer or the Infinity War footage from the 2017 D23 leaked.
Yeah.
Because everyone found out what that was. Everyone thought Hall H was the only place where stuff can leak. And then next, D23. So all the industry insiders started prioritizing that in their coverage, even on just basic YouTube channels, because they knew ever since 2017 where that stuff leaked, even if it wasn't supposed to happen, there is a chance you're going to get something big at D23.
Yeah,
Right.
and that remains true. And the thing is, because it's so comprehensive, it's like that big thing could be the Disney animated movie. It could be a Disney Channel special. Like it's nuts how much material they cover in that 3-hour presentation. Like last time around, they even had a segment about musicals and the cruises, and it was just like this is a lot.
Disney Cruise, dude. I don't think I would do well. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick before we go to break, Erik, what is your favorite convention to cover? I've got one. I would like to hear what yours is because San Diego ain't it for me.
It might actually be Star Wars Celebration.
Well, see, and that tracks for everything I know about you.
Because the vibe at Celebration is just so positive. It's like
It's the one time
it's almost like Gallifrey, but at the scale of San Diego.
So you like
it's
really,
the one
really
time of year where Star
specific.
Wars fan bases are actually the Star Wars fan base is actually tolerable, basically.
Oh yeah, no. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
It's online where Star Wars fans are toxic, right?
that's a good point.
Like, when you're on the ground, like people are just, oh my god, your costume's amazing. Hey, isn't this
Right.
great? I can't wait to see what the new cartoon looks like. There's
Keyboard
genuine
warriors.
excitement. It's not the poison
Right.
that the internet likes to bring up. Paul,
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Eric, are you telling me that there is no Doctor Who convention? Because
there is, but I don't cover it. I go for my own edification. It's not a show that needs to be covered. So it is very much and that's part of the thing I love about Gallifrey is
you mentioned that. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did mention it. Yeah, it's.
As a non-Doctor Who watcher, you wouldn't know that Gallifrey is the planet that Time Lords and Time Ladies are from. My favorite actually was a while back. It was Denver Pop Culture Con, and one of the reasons is because again the venue is set up to where there's these halls, but there's access to both sides of the halls, and all the film was down over here, all the education was here, all of the so like if you were in an area, you knew what you were going to see if you walked in any given door, and they just had such great panels, but the setup was nice for a mid to large size convention because they're not huge, but even for a larger sized venue, it was very well planned, it was very well executed, and I really just enjoyed the variety of content. And
That's awesome.
Denver Pop Culture Con, I don't know what its situation is now, but it was run by Pop Culture Classroom, so 100% of the profits from Denver Pop Culture Con went back into the education of the children of Denver, and I thought that was really, really cool.
That's cool.
Makes it even
man.
better.
Is anyone going to ask me what my favorite one is?
The only one that you've ever been to, I'm sure.
C2E2. That's right, in Chicago Comics.
Well, you met the great Dirk Manning, the editor-in-chief of Source Point Press, and yeah, how'd that go? Dirk can be a scary guy.
And Diana, the artist from what's her? I'll give it out at the end.
He's gonna think of it 2 minutes after we stop recording.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, that wraps up segment one. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the the late summer movies that are going to be coming out, and we're going to talk about one that we predicted was not going to do well, and we predicted why it's not going to do well. So we had that on the nose, but we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Woe begone art.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com. And welcome back to the Collector's Desk. I'm actually the voice on that ad. I don't know if that's clear or not, but
And I'm all of the white dudes in the corner on every one of those clips. Believe it or not, those are all me.
yeah.
The evolution.
I was going to ask that.
Right? You are like 3 or 4 different people through the course of that ad. It is
Evolution.
It is funny.
It's the
Yeah.
timeline.
I've been doing this for a minute now, though. Actually, my like 10-year anniversary with Comic-Con is coming up, which means that I've been doing this for
Came
like
up.
15 years, which is
I
scary.
mean, it's July 1st, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
my 10 years is July 1st.
So yeah,
So
my
10 years in a week.
10
Yeah.
years at Comic-Con, which means 5 years other places, starting with Dark Horse Tfaw. Tfaw, which was an amazing vendor and had a website with a blog and reviews and stuff for a minute. That's where I cut my teeth, and then yeah. Anyway,
Well, it's
go
cool
ahead.
too because we did an episode exactly a week ago that was on the first, and like unbeknownst, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Paul, you had a point?
No, I was just saying this was kind of going back to what we were talking about on the break. I just bring one outfit change all week.
I love it, like zero context, but you want the viewers to know what the hell
wants
you're
it
talking
on
about.
air. Wants it on air. So we are in the midst of summer movies, right? Summer movie madness. And we wanted to circle back around to the fact that Masters of the Universe didn't work.
You called it, Eric.
At least not in box office terms. I mean, I've reached the point of this is going to be somebody's movie, right? Like someone is going to watch this movie and be like, "Oh my god, I love Masters of the Universe." But But again, I don't think this is the wide reach thing that everyone thinks it is.
Right.
I hope it does
more
well in
niche.
streaming. I really do, because they had a good idea, and they're trying to bring back this property. There's so many toys out there. There's so much stuff, so much content with the comics and things like that, that like I really hope that streaming kind of gives it a second life. But they lost, what did it say, $140 million on this, because the budget was over 200 million and they only made 90 million box office. 30 million for the opening weekend, and with a 71% drop off by the second weekend. And Eric, why don't you go ahead and tell us what a 70% drop off by the second weekend means?
It's, to use an industry technical term, that is very bad.
It's ungood. And you know what's interesting is I love as Brendan teed Eric up for that. We're in an era now, especially where movies like this that tap into some type of shared universe or nostalgia, the budget's usually going to be pretty big. So saying it lost money doesn't always tell the full story, right? That's why Thunderbolts was so polarizing, because everyone was all like, wait, I thought it was going to do very well.
Well, and I wouldn't have watched Thunderbolts if it wasn't free on the plane that I was at.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it.
Right. So there's
And
almost
that's
like
the
a great
thing is, especially with Thunderbolts, is it ended up once people found it, like, oh, this movie's really good. What happened?
Right.
And part of the issue, I think, is, your opening gross and your second week drop off. That's actually not a referendum on the quality of the movie. That's more of a referendum on the marketing,
word of mouth and promotion. Yeah,
and promotion, right? And to me, I feel like the issue is a lot of people running these things either don't have the resources they need, or they're putting those resources in the wrong place.
And that's why it's interesting.
And so people just don't know, hey, this thing that you might think is cool is coming out this week.
Mando and Grogu, literally the marketing fell off the map despite them plugging the ever-loving hell out of it. Next thing you know, second weekend, third weekend, it's looking rough, it's looking grim. And that's why I love the fact that Brendan set that up for you to kind of elaborate on, because it's the second week drop-off you have to look at. But that doesn't necessarily always indicate that it was a dud of a movie in terms of quality. It says that something happened where, okay, the forces or the powers that be got it out there, and now we could focus on other things because it's out there. Like Disney probably was breathing the sigh of relief that Mando and Grogu was out of the way, so now eventually they could pivot to the Spider-Mans and and so on and so forth. But I think it's interesting because Eric, and I know Paul, you have a point, I'll finish up here, but you kind of indicated that the problem with the Masters of the Universe to begin with is that they're kind of dealing with something that no one has ever figured out the formula of how to appropriately modernize. And usually, even if the movie is, whether it's a flop or whether it's successful at the box office, usually those movies that catch traction find a way to modernize, even if they're not critically praised, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But I want to hear what Paul has to say.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think I already brought this up when we were covering it last week or the week before, and the analysts have proven it, that it's skewed towards an older audience. So it kind of missed out on all the kids. And is it because they're not aware, or was it because it literally came out as a commercial for toys? I don't know.
Right. I mean, to me, the issue is it's not evergreen. Like the people who keep Masters of the Universe alive are the people who were there in the 80s.
Well, you know who else keeps Masters of the Universe alive is Freddie Williams III. This guy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because the comics are fantastic, and they'll take two things like Thundercats and Masters of the Universe and mash them together, and it just works beautifully. Yeah. And it's my kids read it, and my kids enjoyed it. They have no idea what Thundercats and Masters of the Universe mean to my generation, but because it's so fresh, because the art is so great, and because the stories are so compelling in like the old Boom Studios and the different crossovers that they're doing or whatever, it brings it to a new audience. But this film just didn't get there.
And that's why I'm wondering, is nostalgia better suited as the icing as opposed to the cake? Can you market nostalgia and then succeed, then the movie goes where you want it to go in terms of the bottom line return on investment? Or is it more so you better package it to be evergreen, like you're saying, Eric, and then hopefully the nostalgia catches on, right?
I think going forward, if I were being able to make decisions, for me it is, well, has this property proved successful across the last 40 years? And Ninja Turtles, yes. Marvel Comics, yes, with some asterisks.
Transformers with some asterisks, but still,
right? So what are the things that aren't that, right? Voltron isn't that. G.I. Joe isn't that, sadly. It just
Gundam. Yeah.
Gundam. I
Yeah.
mean, Gundam's weird though because
It was never huge. It was
has this
never
weird
mainstream.
ebb and flow, right?
And it was never that mainstream in America. It's always been one of those things that you bring up in conversation in a way to say, oh, this guy knows ball, right? But like, this guy knows the culture.
So but that's the thing, right? It's like, okay, if I'm sitting in the desk and I'm getting to make the choice and I'm given 7 different properties to like make a live action movie of, I'm choosing Dragon Ball Z. Because
And
that
yet
actually is evergreen.
And yet, and you know what? That's what's funny because Mortal Kombat, they're trying to, circle back to that. And I wonder, and I've always wondered if Mortal Kombat was kind of like the Mario's thing where like it could work, but they just didn't package it the right way, right? Like the 90s Super Mario movie was abysmal. It kind of has a cult following, but now when they kind of taken a different approach with animation, they think, okay, we could package this.
Yeah, I think with Mortal Kombat, it's they can never find the right tone.
Right.
You brought up Mario
Right.
Brothers, and Bob Hoskins till the day he died. When people were like, "Is there anything about your career that you regret?" He's like, "Mario Brothers."
And it's so great because he's such a great actor too. British as can be too, and no one even realizes it. That's what's so funny.
So looking further afield, we basically covered most of summer last time around. Like Acme or Coyote versus Acme is kind of the last big thing. So I actually want to.
Oh, when does that drop? I want to take my kids to it.
I think the last week of August, like the 23rd or something.
Okay, and did we explore the fan theory that the Roadrunner owns Acme Corp?
Yes, I think we did last
I
time
love
around.
that.
We did,
Yeah.
So
The pawn or the
I
puppeteer.
forgot to grab the release date for this, but looking further afield, our next kind of big movie after the summer is Clayface,
Yeah.
Oh,
which I believe is October. Let me get that.
And while Eric's looking that up, can we also talk about the very abysmal performance of Supergirl and how even though a lot of people thought that movie looked promising and the return in the box office isn't looking great. Actually, it's looking terrible. The reception isn't looking great. And I don't necessarily think it's an indictment on James Gunn or where this universe is heading, but it makes you wonder, sure, with the benefit of hindsight, Supergirl is a great character, but do you really make that the second movie in the canon moving forward?
yes, because
Okay.
here's the thing.
But
I
why?
believe it's a good film, and I love the casting. I love the Targaryen girl. She's one of my favorites. When they moved on to the older Targaryen actress to play that same character in Game of Thrones prequel, whatever, I stopped watching because she's not on it, and she was so like captivating. She's such a great actress, and I think that part of what goes into that is people, for whatever reason, are still kind of like bristling at the idea of a female lead in action film or whatever, and it's like that is so unfair.
I do think that's true, but a lot of time when there's smoke, there's fire. Captain Marvel, a lot of people online didn't like, and you're right, it's because it's a women lead. Captain Marvel was not dragged and made a lot more money than Supergirl. So even though
Captain Marvel, before the film even came out, people were dragging the actress because her ass
100%.
wasn't big enough.
Smear campaign on Rotten Tomatoes,
They're like,
right? The
they're like,
review bomb.
what is this? Here's
Review
the
bomb.
comic, and they show this ridiculous Liefeld-esque, proportion on a comic book character, and they're like, how come Carol Danvers doesn't have an ass like that in real life? And it's like, because it's a real human with real human proportions, you asshole.
And Brie Larson was outstanding in the role, but at the same time, that was an example of review bombing where fans said one thing, critics said the other. The Star Wars sequel trilogy very much suffered the same thing, but it's looking like a lot of notable outlets are saying this movie ain't it. And I haven't seen it for myself yet, so I'm not going to have my own like true, final certified opinion, but I have to see it first.
So on that front, it's a solid, fun little movie.
Okay.
And I think part of the problem is people expect Westerosi style power plays from movies now. It's like it either has to be this revolutionary, game-changing thing or an absolute colossal disaster.
That's
right?
true.
There's no room
Middle ground
for it was fun. Like there's no room for that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the review you gave me of Grogu and Mandalorian, and made me want to see it. It's like it's a fun film, and I think a lot of times people just don't want to like invest in to emotionally invest in a story and just let it unfold.
And I guess that's part of the problem. It's like if the asking price is $20, you want more than
that's
fun.
And that's where I think I don't think it's superhero fatigue that is killing the industry. I think it's that. They're not allowed to just be good movies anymore. That's why I think Endgame and even like some of these other ones, Logan, The Dark Knight, certain like tentpole type of movies, even if they're separated by 5-10 years, sometimes the industry becomes so obsessed with those, even though they're the exception, not the rule. They think if they're not up to that standard, they're failing miserably.
But
the whole
people are
idea of
gonna shit
Avengers
on it no
Endgame
matter
being
what.
good is that the whole idea of Avengers Endgame being good is that it's a culmination, a blow off of 10 years. To act like every movie should be that moving forward is, for one, asinine, and two, you're playing revisionist history, because then you're acting like all the movies that Marvel made leading up to that point were gems. Newsflash, they were not.
No. And nostalgia is a hell of a thing. But no matter
terrible.
what you do, people
Terrible.
are going to shit on it. You could have Tom motherfucking Servini, like the king of practical effects, doing the practical effects, and they'd be like, why didn't they do digital? And
You're
then they
right.
do digital, and they go, that looks like shit. Why didn't they
You're
get
right.
Savini? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to shit on it no matter what.
So then let me ask you guys this. Do you think there's any like saving grace for it? Like, do you think we could ever get back to the norm where sometimes a movie can just be fun?
No, because people suck.
Not really.
No, I agree.
Not with the economics that
Some people just fall asleep right in the middle of a
Force
podcast
things
they're supposed to be
into.
participating on.
Yeah.
People just suck, man.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, Paul. Talk,
but-
Paul.
All right, so Clayface, you got the
I have a
release date,
question. I mean,
Oh yeah, no problem.
it is going back to, I think, what was the topic of this segment, which is how is the collector industry going to treat the failure of this movie? Do you think it'll affect the collectibles? And will Mattel continue to invest in this franchise?
You know, that's probably a question for Steve when he's back next week.
Yeah, no kidding.
But,
no kidding.
No, they are still selling the collectibles from Master of the Universe for thousands of dollars. We looked at one a couple of weeks ago, right? That was the Galitzin guy, and it's a $1,200 piece.
It's almost to the point where the collectibles market is its own thing, and these movies
Yeah.
don't really seem to move the needle on whether or not it's going to work. Or
It
not,
kind of
you know?
seems like we
So
circled
I'm
back
tired
to the
of looking at
90s,
this
because that's how
slide,
the
though.
norm was in the 90s and early noughts. No one cared if the movie
I'm looking at
sucked.
Clayface, right?
So can we
let's
talk
go.
about Clayface so we can get rid of this awful image because
Right.
it's
So-
revolting.
right, Clayface.
Our audio
opens-
listeners are good. Our audio audience is fine.
Right.
Video,
So-
you may be struggling, right?
So Clayface opens October 23rd, and what's interesting is, you know, James Gunn has said he wants the movies to be stylistically different from film to film. So Clayface is consciously being marketed as a horror film, taking place in James Gunn's DC universe.
And a body horror film at that.
Body horror, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I chose this image because this is basically the entire trailer. It just slowly
This is
kind of
actually a
rolls
picture
into his eye.
From my
And-
third facial surgery, where I had 2 titanium plates and 18 pins put all in here. This was they used this for the film. Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Brendan was the template. Very much pun intended.
So Paul, did you know there's a Clayface movie coming?
No, I had no idea, and maybe it's my own failure, especially as somebody who's an actor. You know, I should. I'm gonna roast myself before anyone else does.
I love that you use the quotation marks for actor. That's just that sums up everything that we know about Paul Vato.
Yeah.
Go ahead, that's perfect.
Actor-ish.
Collector, podcast.
I put it on my business card, so it's real, right?
That's right. You know, I claim to be all these things, and then sometimes I feel like, well, how did I not know that was coming out? Not that I would, you know, of course I'd love to audition for it, but it's not up to me. But I should be more in touch of what is coming up, especially now that I'm involved with this amazing.
You still
podcast.
read for roles? I would have thought you'd be offer only at this point.
Yeah, right.
I am offer only, but then I don't get any offers, so I have to read. For,
He has to humble himself.
And yeah, hey, I know a few movie terms. How about that?
All right, he's an insider.
Yeah, nice.
maybe
Eric,
you
let me
guys should
ask you.
become actors.
Right. Yeah. We'll become actors. Paul can become a podcaster. There you go.
Right, exactly.
Paul
Eric,
could
let
stay
me-
awake for 15 minutes straight. There we go.
Eric, let me ask you this. Because I like how Brennan gave a dead honest answer as far as like the DCU, like whether Supergirl was good or great, it was going to be an uphill battle.
Mhm.
Do you think that this is kind of something that'll be ongoing, right? But just your general gauge of it all right now. Do you think we'll slowly start to see James Gunn become more and more involved with each project? Because there's been a lot of rumors that there was a lot of director, creative direction, spearhead arguments going on with the
Yeah.
production of Supergirl. Initially, James Gunn was laissez-faire and then kind of got more involved as the production went on.
I
You
think-
sounding all
I think
French.
he's-
Yeah.
I think he's going to embrace
Oui,
the fact that he is the author, right?
Yeah.
I think the lesson that he's going to take away from this, because I'll tell you, that script, the script for Supergirl feels like it was written for him to direct, and bringing in someone else who wanted to make a darker film, a grittier film, that was at odds with a lot of what's going on in the movie. And then, like, you know, there's the rumor that Gunn kind of took charge towards the end and tried to make it more of a Gunn film. I think he's going to have to embrace the fact that the movies are going to have to respect that tone. And if they do respect that tone, that means they can only really make 1 or 2 of them a year.
Yes,
like,
because he has to be that involved.
Because he has to be that involved, exactly.
Right.
So let's move on to December 18th, right?
That's not.
Yes,
so
December
We're going
18th,
deep. We're going deep, baby.
which is Doomsday.
Mm.
It is, in fact, Doomsday, at least for the moment, because there keeps being rumors that Marvel might blink
Pivot.
and move Doomsday away. But that release date for both of these movies is the same.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the new Dunes.
Yeah.
Not one. None of the shows, none of the movies, nothing.
Mm-hmm. You really
Would
don't
that-
need to watch
would-
the movies
would that change-
if you want to get into the Dune thing.
Will that change,
it's the
Brendan, do you
movies.
think?
I don't know. It's hard for me because like when you look at something that's so many hours of investment, and like I really don't like sand. I hate the beach. And it seems like a
I don't
lot
like
of it
sand
is.
either. It's
I feel
rough,
like a lot
it's
of it is
coarse,
centered around sand.
it's irritating,
sand,
and it gets
scenes.
everywhere.
Right.
Okay, Anakin.
I had to. I'm sorry, I had to. Go ahead.
But like, I mean, I've never enjoyed the beach. I like surfing. I like being on the water, but I hate being on the beach. So if I could go straight from the water to the car to get home, I'd be a happy man. But like, it's just like all of the imagery and stuff like that just really puts me off for my sensory
So
stuff. Where it's like I don't want to touch sand. I don't want to see sand. I don't want to hear about sand.
So speaking of Anakin, does Tatooine give you some heebie-jeebies sometimes?
Well,
when you
I
watch
was
Star
glad
Wars?
when they left that damn planet and went.
Well, they
elsewhere.
never leave it. They always go back to it. That's the funny part. But you're right. Like, you think finally we're going to get away from Tatooine forever. Lo and behold, I'm pretty sure we've had more
What I want to
Tatooine
know
than
about Star
lightsabers
Wars
at this point.
and Eric, Mr. Star Wars, if light speed is a thing and all these warps and all these crazy things that they're doing, and it's the intergalactic, right? That means between galaxies, right? Why in the hell do they keep going back to the same 6 planets?
Because there's only so many biomes that you can actually film in.
That's so true. And God forbid they have a planet that's like Earth with multiple biomes, right? That's the funniest part. Really quick, because Eric, I also have a question for you. The fun of Barbenheimer was how polar opposite the 2 movies were in just about every way possible. This is interesting because they're going to try to build this up as some epic Clash of the Titans, which it very much is, but it's also kind of both. They're both in the same parameters. Do you think that'll make it a little bit different in the fact that more people will likely see both of these and there won't be this schism in the way there were that, a lot of Greta Gerwig fans may not go see Oppenheimer. They may know Christopher Nolan, but Oppenheimer doesn't do it for them. And a lot of Oppenheimer people are not going to go see Barbie, even if it's supposed to be a good movie, right? Flashing back to 2023.
Right.
The demographics here, in terms of the fans, kind of align a bit more, do they not?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very similar male
Crossover.
skewed. You know, I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be your 4 quadrant, but this is very male skewed movies. Right? I mean, the one kind of key difference is that Dune is heavy.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
Yeah.
It's hard science fiction. It's political
literary.
power plays. It's Westerosi, right? Where with Doomsday, you know, like no matter what's going to happen, RDJ is going to quip that there will be those moments of, well, that happened. You know, it's going to be the poppier, buzzier movie
No doubt.
than Dune, but they're still both about calamities. You know, they're both kind of about the same thing. It's just one is the serious version, and the other is your pop version of it, right? Yeah.
Wait,
So I don't know if
What is the connection between these films?
They're
It's
coming out the same
mostly,
day.
that's all, because it's just like Barbie. But
It's just like
Barbenheimer,
Barbenheimer, yeah.
But the fun about
the movies are coming
Barbenheimer
out
is
the same
that,
day.
right, but Barbenheimer
What is
totally were like
Barbenheimer?
here. Barbie and
That
Oppenheimer?
was the fact that Barbie and
Was that a
Oppenheimer-
crossover that I missed?
No, it's just that Barbie and Oppenheimer came out on the same day.
But that's 2 completely different demographics.
But that's the
it's
point. That's
but
the
what's
point.
weird is
Yeah.
there was this momentum kind of
Yes.
online of, oh, we should do both movies. And
The
so you
film
had-
industry-
you had Barbie girls going to see Oppenheimer.
So you like speed run, or you pay for the first
you
film
had-
and you
and you
sneak
had-
into the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had serious dude bros going to Barbie. Like
Yeah.
it was, And I guess the difference is that it was organic. It wasn't something that either studio planned.
That's what it was.
Where this time around, it feels like Disney and Warner Brothers might be colluding a little bit. If Disney doesn't blink, then it feels more like the studio's trying to make it happen.
1,000%, because that's a great point, Eric. Because the reason why Barbenheimer works so much is that there was this almost monolithic element to it in a time where the monolith is pretty much dead in the culture, at least as it pertains to entertainment. And it was like something that everyone was collectively buying into. Even if Greta Gerwig didn't do it for you, even if Nolan didn't do it for you, you were at least considering going to both. This movie appeals to demographics that were probably already going to consider going to both anyway, right? So that's what's kind of funny about it. Because Brendan's right. There's no reason to believe someone going to a Margot Robbie Barbie movie and then going to a movie about, the Manhattan Project.
You know what's I would definitely rather see the Barbie movie than I haven't seen Oppenheimer either. Like that's just, but I would definitely go to Barbie if they were both showing at the same time and they're both also like in the reclining seats or whatever. You pick your seat ahead of time. So like
also I will vouch for Barbie. It is a shockingly good movie. I don't know what's shocking about it. Without the based on a toy, right?
I think that's maybe the shocking part, because the fact you did it normally, kind of like we were talking about with Master Universe and everything else, it often doesn't work out well other than the Ninja Turtles and the Transformers of the world. But also that's because that's marketed to the type of dudes who are going to play with them, watch the cartoons and watch the movies. Right. Barbie doesn't necessarily have that trajectory, at least in the same way. And it's interesting because
who didn't play with Barbies as a kid? Now hold up, this toxic bullshit has to stop, because I had both. I had both, and I suspect that each one of you here had both at some point. One.
I've never had a Barbie.
You know that a Barbie's leg will bend one click backwards, right? Because you had one to play with. Don't lie.
My sister did. I never played. No, for real. I agree with you. The toxic.
You've never used your her Barbies as fodder against your GI Joes or something. Tell the truth.
No,
never. Not one time.
No, and I'm not even saying like anyone who does is problematic. I'm literally just saying that because I just never did. Like it's just a matter
because the original GI Joes and the original Barbie are the same scale. They exist in the same universe.
Yeah. But I never even was a big GI Joe guy. I was a Star Wars action figure, figures, that type of big guy. So a bunch of Jedi just hacking at Barbie. There you go.
Paul had the generic Barbies, and what were those called, Paul?
What? I had the generic GI Joe, so that would make perfect sense. But you're telling me you didn't have a pleasure squad for your
different question.
Wow.
Different question.
Wow. Okay, so that's gonna get edited.
I've been watching too many North Korean.
Yes. You know what? We need to have what's the bleep button to where Paul, you know it's going to come out at some point or another, and you could just hit we need a 3-second delay.
3-second delay.
So with that, I'm going to hand the chair back to Brendan, and we'll be back after the break to talk about.
All right. Well, that was kind of the late summer movies, but we got derailed a lot.
Yeah.
I think the big point is that we predicted, the five of us, including Steve, predicted that Master of the Universe was going to have an uphill battle because it's aimed at people my age and older, and 40% of their tickets were sold to males that were over 40, and that's a big thing.
Final question here before we go to break. Brendan, I know you didn't see Oppenheimer. I'm Mr. Final Question. Well, that's what I do. But I have to ask you, because if we're talking about late summer movies and we don't mention The Odyssey, which is about to break the world, I think it's kind of like misplaced. But we don't have to analyze the movie. We could do that on a future episode. I'll ask you this, though. You didn't see Oppenheimer. Will you see
I will see The Odyssey. I will see The Odyssey. I love The Odyssey.
I have tickets. I'm going to go see
I love almost every version of The Odyssey that I've ever read or seen or consumed. Like the Odyssey is such a great story, and it's so timeless.
Phenomenal. Yep.
Yeah. Paul had one thing before we go to break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk about.
It's two things now. Is that the Homer Simpson movie?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
Perfect. I will go see it.
Homer for the win.
And what? I'm sorry, I forgot. What's the next segment?
Do you want to do the lead out, Brendan? You can do the lead out.
All right. So when we get back from the break, we're going to be talking about the National Sports Collectors Convention, which is a massive convention. Lots of signees, lots of celebrities there. But the big deal this year is they're bringing in an international audience by bringing in vendors that are going to be bringing sports in that are not football, that are not basketball, that are not baseball. So they're kind of bringing the international flavor. So of course there's going to be a lot of soccer and some other sports involved there. But we're going to talk about what the impact on that is going to be coming up at the end of this month of July. So we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Okay. I'll see you guys next week.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com. Oh, there he is. Okay.
This shit. What are you doing to me? Are we recording?
We are recording. We just ran the ad, too.
And now,
and now Brett needs to reset.
Oh Lord! Hey, leave this in though. This is funny. This is good content. All right. So while Brett is reconnecting, today we're going to talk about in this segment the National Sports Collectors Convention, which is 29th of July through 2nd of August. And it's going to be at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. And the big deal about this one, I guess it's a massive convention that these sports stars and NFL and MLB and NBA and, these sports stars get together and Hall of Famers. You can get autographs and stuff, very much like comics conventions. You can rub elbows with creators and things, but just so much merchandise available, so many celebrity things available. They're doing sports cards, they're doing memorabilia, they're doing footballs, baseballs, hockey. But the first time ever, they're opening it up to international sports. So they're going to have representatives from the UK, Germany, Croatia, Hungary, China, Hong Kong, France, and Italy, and they'll all be present in the pavilion with a focus on soccer, F1, and more international sports. And that is the big news out of the convention this year. You can see with some of these slides that are going by, there are literally hundreds of guests. And this is just the first 10 of each category, but it goes and it goes and it goes. But you see Drew Brees on there, Leroy Butler, like all these guys that had such an impact on their individual sports. But now soccer, which we talked about during FIFA, during the World Cup, is the world's biggest sport, is now going to be represented. And so just the impact of that and opening it up and kind of, because we've always had this kind of US centric view of sports where it's like, if it's not baseball or basketball or hockey or football, we're not interested. And I think opening that up, it's going to bring so many more people to this convention from Canada, from the UK, from Germany, whatever. But it also is going to educate some of the US fans on some of these sports that are massive around the world. Soccer is the most played, the most viewed sport in the world. And now it's going to be represented at this massive sports convention. Brett, what are your thoughts?
I think it's awesome because I kind of like what you said right there in terms of how it's an educational opportunity, because they're smart here. They're crafty by bringing in the people that you just mentioned who follow those sports, those demographics that follow the U.S.-based, the domestic sports, right? And you have a slew of legends, as you said, from Drew Brees to Roger Clemens to everyone in between, Mike Tyson on the boxing front, John Jones on the MMA front, as we see here. But then as they're there, they can become more privy and knowledgeable to the international games as well. But the people who already like the international games can also go outright for that without even caring about anything else. This literally checks every box on the sports front. This may be the coolest thing. I've become being in the sports side of this, the entertainment spectrum. This is right up my alley in a way that probably no other convention we've touched on the show is. This is amazing because, Brendan, when you send the rundown, a lot of times we'll give the key details, but we won't actually see who it is on the cast or the panel, like basically the list, if you will, until we actually do the show. So all of this I'm seeing for the first time, and this is amazing.
Yeah. To be fair, those photos did go out last week, but
right, but either way, it's just kind of cool because I imagine when you sent the rundown last night, or 2 days ago, we were going to have some names. I wasn't expecting that. That is big.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go back to the boxing card for a moment because
Lennox.
I mean, these are names I know.
Right. Holyfield. Three of them are the biggest names, or the biggest boxing names in the last 30, 40 years.
Right. And I mean,
right. So
John Jones hit the culture enough that I know who he is.
Right.
You said Roger Clemens, but Mariano Rivera is going to be there. Raleigh Fingers, Tom Glavine, Rafael Furcal, Vlad Guerrero Sr., Ozzie Guillen, Gene Heiser, Trevor Hoffman, one of the best closers, Reggie Jackson, Greg Jeffries, Fergie Jenkins, Tommy John, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Ron Kittle, Chuck Knobloch, Tony La Russa, Javi Lopez, Steve Lyons, Juan Marichal, another amazing giant, by the way, Edgar Martinez, Pedro Martinez, Randy Martz, Willie McGee, Jack Morris. I mean, these guys are Hall of Famers.
This is sports heaven. This is sports heaven.
This is a shocking amount of talent in one place.
This sounds too good to be true. Think about it. if you were just going off the names we're looking at, for the audio audience, go check out the video side if you can, because we have them posted all up here. If not, go find out more information yourself. Brendan will probably give you the best way to do that. But even if we were just going off of this graphic, that's enough. Brendan just named out half of the Cooperstown and Canton and Naismith Hall of Fames.
And I wasn't even done with the list. I stopped because it's so long.
Right.
So go ahead and name one of these guys, and I'll tell you what they're charging, because that was the other thing that impressed me. Let me see. I'm trying to find a real big name on here. Donovan McNabb. That's a big name, right?
Yeah. And for example, like Rivera for me would be a big, or even Knobloch. How would like
Donovan
Knobloch
McNabb
and Rivera look?
For a regular autograph is $95. For a premium, that's going to be like an 8x10 or something. That's going to be $116. To put HOF on there and the year or whatever it is, he's going to charge $42. And for a photo op, it's $95. So you could get a baseball card or a football card signed and a photo op for $190. That's not bad.
Yeah, I was going to say those prices are really reasonable. That's not crazy at all, especially when you've got, Mark Hamill charging like $400 now.
I'm trying to. Here's Big Poppy.
If you're in orbit of $100,
okay, so
that's not bad.
Yeah,
here's one of the
100%.
super premium names. It's Big Poppy. This is David Ortiz. For a regular signature is $300. For premium, $369. To put 500 HR on it is $421. If he's signing a game used item, it's $526, and a photo op is $300. So that's the higher end, I would think. A signature and a photo is going to cost you $600.
Wow.
Yeah. But some of these guys are.
But also to have that variety of this the more expensive headliner, but also completely reasonable.
Let me
for a surprising name like that. That's something.
Let's frame it like this. Imagine if you took Hollywood or, just anything in the general entertainment industry and try to do something like this with actors instead of athletes. Think about the A-listers you would have to get, because this is the sports equivalent of main event, A-lister, primetime, Hall of Fame player type, whatever whatever you want to slide in there as an epithet.
This isn't Hayden Christensen. This is Harrison Ford.
Right.
Oh, and Joe Montana. Joe Montana, a signature is $250.
Right.
A photo is $250.
And it's funny because a few weeks ago, we were talking about Brendan's autographed baseballs. I believe you have Trevor Hoffman and Mariano Rivera, and you were talking about how you got him for such a steal. And even though obviously the price would be much different because the situation is much different, the fact you rattled those two names off, along with Pedro, along with Burt Blyleven, along with Roger Clemens and everyone in between, it's like, oh my God, can you imagine? You wouldn't want to leave, even if you can't get everyone's signature. Just being there is insane to me.
Well, and that's not mentioning all the vendors and panels and things that are happening too, because this is a convention. This is the celebrity side of it. This is your celebrity interaction, which is massive. But when you looked at Fanatics, when I was not super impressed with Fanatics Fest because of just how, it just seemed very clinical. It's like you pay this much, you get one thing, you get the hell out kind of thing. And this feels a lot more like an actual convention. And when I talk about the Venn diagram of nerdy conventions, look at this. This looks like a comics convention. If you didn't know that was sports cards, those could be Pokemon cards. If you didn't know that this was sports, you would think this is just a regular convention. And I honestly believe that if a convention is run well, whether you're a huge fan or a casual fan, you're still going to have a good time. Right. And you don't need to be like a sportscaster with sportscaster knowledge like Brett to have a good time at this convention.
Amen. And that's why you get those big names. You can be a middle of the road fan, and most middle of the road fans are going to instantly know every single name. And then as we're looking at entertainment, you have Chuck D and Flava Flav. I'm a Public Enemy diehard. You have the Nature Boy. And then as we were talking about, even just having Ralph Macchio there, it covers even the nooks and crannies.
I love Chelsea Ross is there.
Yeah, loosely sports related.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
Oh yeah, you telling me our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? It's one of the best quotes ever. No, man, it really is mind blowing. And this is one of the more fun segments we've done in kind of like a real time reveal type of fashion here on the podcast.
Do you want to hear some of the football stars?
Name them, bro. Name them.
Eric Allen, Otis Anderson, Steve Atwater, Ricky Blair, Brian Bosworth, Earl Campbell, David Casper, Jim Covert, Dante Culpepper, Jay Cutler, Wendell Davis, Joe De La Miliera.
Yep, Hall of Famer. Yep, Hall of
Richard
Famer.
Dent, Boomer Esiason, Marshall Falk, Antonio Gates, Dwight Freeney, Matt Forte, Archie Griffin, Rob Gronkowski, Charles Haley, Jack Ham, Don Hampton, Mike Hartenstein, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, why is he not on the baseball side?
Yeah, right, exactly. Bro, this is insane.
Jim Kelly, Steve Largent, Marv Levy, Bob Lilly, Patrick Manley, Johnny Manziel, Dan Marino, Bruce Matthews, Jim Miller, Donovan McNabb, Jim McMahon, Kevin Maway, Ron Mix, Warren Moon, Joe Montana.
These
Jonathan
guys are
Ogden.
It's insane. If you were to stop right there, that would be enough. And you have that in every, and you have it in every sport. And they're all, it's not like, because gradually for these type of things, like if you're doing like a roll call, it'll get a little bit, I won't say like lower in tier, but let's just be real, the names won't pop as much. You literally named Joe Montana there, and he was like the 18th name, because you could just literally, you could randomize them, and every other name you mentioned is a Hall of Famer, and the names in between the Hall of Famers were all pros.
Well, and here's the thing is, I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. I know the Giants players, and I know the Athletics players, because the Giants and Athletics did a lot of stuff against each other and with each other, whatever, over the years. But the other names in baseball that are here, I know Jim Tomei, Sammy Sosa, John Smoltz. I know these players because they were so big in their eras of the sport that they were being talked about no matter what team you were playing.
Yeah. And as we're talking about collectors, these are like the cards you're clamoring for as a kid and even as an adult. Like, it's just, that's absolutely nuts to me. I wonder, do you guys, in terms of the actual, like on the inside the convention space, you may know better than I. Has anything like this even been remotely attempted before? Or maybe they just didn't have the logistics worked out? Like, why now? Why? Because it's amazing. Seen
this many A-list celebrities in one place at one time ever.
It seems too good to be true.
It really does.
You almost wonder if that influx of international sports is kind of covering,
well, and I think that
the incredible buy-in to get these people here. Like
the timing is incredible though, because it's right on the backside of FIFA World Cup, and so people who were casual fans or who had never seen soccer before have their favorites because they've been watching it, because it's been all over the place or whatever, and they've seen the moments or whatever. So they might go to this and buy a signed soccer ball or a game used jersey or something like that was not even on their radar before this happened in North America this year.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool.
Also, I mean, for as little as I know about this, it's like F1 is becoming a bigger deal in the States than it's ever been. So,
well, they close down Vegas for it every year now, right?
Every year
is something like it's.
If you have an event that's big enough to close down the strip, it's gaining momentum.
No doubt.
Not being a sports fan, it's like I can still see that this is hugely exciting, and people are going to come to get that signature, and they're going to end up learning about these other sports too.
That's what's so cool about it. You could be literally an MMA and boxing fan and not even care about anything else on the sports front, and next thing you know, you're all like, oh wow, this is the mecca, right? Vice versa, you could be a football baseball diehard, and now you're learning about soccer and F1, right? And hockey. It's unreal. That's almost like being in the sports media world. Almost like, I'm not going to say like inspiring, because it's more about my fandom in terms of the inspiring aspect, because these are like not only like favorite players, these are in some cases childhood heroes, right? But on the sports
Jackson,
media,
dude, when I was growing up, everybody wanted to be Bo Jackson.
Everybody. Like best athlete on the planet.
He wasn't even playing for a good baseball team, but we were watching it. It was the freaking Royals.
Had his own video game. No, and to me, it's almost like both as the sports media, analyst and as the diehard sports fan, these are the type of things you wish you had more of, because sports is becoming gradually more divisive as well, like anything else in the world, especially in the entertainment industry. And this is a reminder of how sports is the unifier. Really, all things in the entertainment and fan culture are, but sports really like promotes that. They hang their hat on. That's like a PR, motive of theirs. And sometimes that's gotten away from them in recent years. And this is a way to remind everybody that, everyone here is going to have an absolute blast, no matter what walk of the sports life you like. That's what's so cool about it.
Yeah. No, and it's funny too, because when Steve was texting me this morning telling me, hey, he's so sorry that he's not gonna be able to make it because he's got to do a trip to California because he's got that figure deal, whatever. I was telling him, I was like, you know what, this segment's gonna work anyway because Brett is just gonna eat it up. We're gonna be fine.
I'm kind of in disbelief. It's almost like I'm waiting for what's the catch here, right? And that's what's so cool, because like, this is so new. Imagine if it takes off and is a huge hit. And now next thing you know, Michael Rubin and Fanatics Fest, like you said, are going, oh man, we have something here, right? Like I want that.
It comes back to what Steve has said in the past too, is like, if you're not focused on fan experience, people are going to find an alternative. And it feels like this is much more focused on fan experience than I need to charge you for every single little thing that you're doing. It's like, no, you can go, you can wander, you can shop, you can do whatever, or you can also get these experiences with the celebrity athletes and things like that. So I think that it's a really good event. I hope them, I wish them well, and I hope that it really, I took two thoughts and mashed them together and made no sense. And I hope that everybody who goes really enjoys themselves, because this is the kind of thing that we need more of in sports and in the world, is just people coming together and enjoying things and learning about new cultures and new sports and things like that. Because that is the big piece. That's what caught my attention about this, is that they're going, hey, there are more sports in the world than these 4 that we watch religiously. Let's try and bring the global audience in. And I think that's a big move. So,
and I think it's so cool, because this is the type of thing you could talk about someone who goes to it, and it's almost like an event in itself, to meet up with a buddy, grab a bite to eat, grab a beer, and just have them show pictures and tell you about it. You're going to be on cloud 9 just hearing about it, let alone being there. No kidding.
So Steve says he actually might be going to this, so we might be able to get a man on the floor to report back to us how it went.
If he goes, that would be rad, because
full coverage, baby.
Right on. So again, the dates on that, if I can get back to my notes here, are July 29th to August 2nd. That's in Rosemont, Illinois. It's at the Donald Eats Stevens Convention Center. Tickets are still available. Some of the VIP tickets with the fast passes and stuff are already sold out. But general admission for the event, if you just go to the event, you're going to have a good time. If you got a favorite sports player, I guarantee you they're going to be there. I could say that with all confidence. Whatever sport, whatever team, they've got a representative there. So go ahead and check that out if you can. When we get back from the break, we're going to wrap this thing up. It should go pretty quick, actually, because only 3 of us are left. It's the rule of attrition. But we're going to head to commercial break right now. We'll see you on the other side.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comicon.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comicon.com.
The show never does stop on Comicon.com. Mr. Erik Amaya, you had a point that you wanted to make as we were leaving.
Paul had a story he was going to tell us in segment 4, and then he disappeared. So I'm just reminding Paul, if he ever watches this, that there was a story you were going to tell us.
I think that it was probably, he was going to pitch us on something that he's selling now for a company that doesn't pay him.
Yeah. He's plugging something that benefits him in no way. Right.
Yeah, no,
that's probably what it was.
He has a lot of contacts that pay in trade, and unfortunately, in trade doesn't pay the bills. So,
it's actually funny though, because off air, moments ago, even if it was just briefly, we were talking about like how the urban sprawl in different metropolitan areas kind of obscures the actual, at least for outsiders or potential tourists, kind of obscures the reality of how it actually is. And Paul is like driving, an hour and a half across state lines to Wisconsin today for this premiere he's going to. And yet there's the constant group of this contingent of Chicago natives who are always complaining that, Rosemont should it be considered part of the Chicago area, even if it's a suburb. And we were talking about how Boston suburbs are in closer proximity, but LA, which essentially is just one massive valley that seemingly never stops, as Eric has alluded to, and Brendan, you even know it as well. Like there, it's almost like we always try to downplay the sprawl there, but in actuality, it's the other than maybe Phoenix, it's probably the best definition of urban sprawl in the country.
And people get pissed. Like, Angelinos are weird, man, because you'll be like, oh, so you're from Los Angeles, and you're like, man, fuck you, I'm from Hollywood. And it's like, that's in Los Angeles, bro. Sunset is right there in Los Angeles. Yeah. What's wrong with you? Like, right. But yeah, no, they're so proud of their like boroughs in Los Angeles that if you even allude to the fact that somebody might be from the east end of town and they're from the west end of town, they'll beat you up.
It's tribal, man.
Meanwhile, if you live in LA County, like I do, I don't live in LA City, I live in the county.
Right.
It's just easier. It's like, yeah, I live in Los Angeles. Like,
which is funny too, because that happens everywhere. So Bakersfield, people think it's a small town. It's not. We have 27 public high schools that are filled, and we have 7 private high schools that are also filled. It's a massive city. By population, it's the 6th biggest in the state. But that's by population. But by geography, it's also massive. I live on the east side. Driving to the west side can take you 50 minutes to get from one side to the other. And so, 08 is Oildale. There's some interesting stories about Oildale, but it's technically part of Bakersfield, but it's not. And then you've got Oleander, and then you've got whatever. So I get it, but it's also I don't know. It's people.
Well, that's why Vegas is similar to New York in the sense that the population, the crowd, and the sheer crowded feel you get is because of the density rather than the geography. Vegas, if you were to Thanos snap everybody out and dust them for like let's just say 5 hours, you can make it from point A on the valley, let's just say longitudinally or north, south, east, west, whatever it may be. You can make it. I know I'm breaking out the thesaurus today, but like you could basically go from point A to point B in the Vegas Valley, and it will take, especially with the freeways, no time. It's the amount of people in such a confined area, which is what slows you down. People don't realize Manhattan Island is like 4 miles wide, like 7.
I walked it.
It's nothing. It's nothing. But when you
walked it drunk and concussed.
Right. It's nothing. You go from the west side to the east side on the bank and to see both rivers, and it's absolutely nothing. But with all the people, you realize, oh, wait, if I'm in a car heading down a certain avenue in Midtown, it's going to be absolute hell, even if the strip is like that. Vegas is kind of like that. The valley itself, pretty small compared to Bakersfield, compared to LA, but because of that, everybody's jammed tight. And now you're building east-west, you can only go so far because the mountains, but now you're seeing a lot of people kind of connecting the obscure, random, desolate towns in the north and the south that kind of seem like these ghost town village type places. Now they're just neighborhoods of Vegas because Vegas is like connecting all the way. So it's interesting to me that both you guys mentioned the geography, because I think people get caught up in the amount of people. It's really the layout. That's what does
well,
it.
New York, we had Porn Sack Pisha Show on recently talking about Absolute Green Arrow, but New York Comic Con, he was one of my first professional interviews, like on site, and it was Pornsack and Aaron Campbell who did Infidel. And one of the things about the city is a character in this horror film or this horror story because it's so like built on top of each other. So like you get up to the top and that's all the brand new buildings and all the nice, shiny, fancy new stuff. And the further you go down from the top, the seedier and older and more busted up it gets until you're down in the subway and like there's rats killing each other over a slice of pizza that fell on the tracks, right? And it's such a great, like, you sit there and you look at it and it really is true, is those bottom buildings are doing some heavy lifting for all the shit that's built up because they have nowhere to build out because they're surrounded by water.
It's so true. And it's kind of like Star Wars and Coruscant. Like, what does the bottom level look like? Is it the scum of the earth as opposed to the top where the Jedi and the senators are chilling, right? Like, it's kind of like that. And funny, interestingly enough.
Is there sand?
If it is, it's rough, it's coarse, it's irritating, and it gets everywhere. Yeah. But, you know, as we, because I guess it's kind of the perfect time because outside of geography, that we were kind of discussing in between the last segment and this one, is how Erik gets his mind right for such a daunting task. And he kind of broke down the what in terms of how he's doing it, what he's doing it, why exactly he needs to do it. But before we get to that point, I'm dying to know because I've mentioned to you guys, whether it be the convention side, whether it be the sports media side, I love hearing about the professionals and their process, how they prep for the role, whatever capacity it may be. Erik, how do you get your mind right? Because at this point, you could actually do the day-to-day stuff in your sleep. But before you get to that point, is there any type of process? Are you superstitious? Is there anything that like you have to get your ducks in a row a certain way before you proceed with this San Diego Comic-Con year in and year out?
So if I'm doing interviews, it's very much become, you know, I need those 10 questions. Like they just need to exist before I walk in the room. You know, even if it's something I'm super knowledgeable about, it's still like
they don't want to hear you. They want to hear the person in their
words.
Exactly.
Right. It's very much, okay, I need to have 10, and I say 10 questions, presuming that I'm getting 15 minutes, right? Because I figure that's about the right amount of questions to have prepped.
But if they're giving you nothing, you need 25 questions. Every question
exactly, right?
Every 5 seconds you're going back.
I mean, the theory there is even the shortest answer is still going to be about a minute. So, you know, because it's not like you're just going to get, unless it's Mike Tyson, you're not going to get yes as the response. That's not what's going to happen unless it's Mike Tyson, because that actually has happened to me, where you ask him a question and the response is yeah.
Next question.
And there's that horrifying silence after that, where it sort of dawns on you, oh, he's not going to elaborate.
Right. He's
And
expecting me to
he's
move
not
on.
going to take silence as a cue to elaborate either.
Yeah.
Like,
What else you
So
got
you're
for me?
standing there staring at the heaviest puncher in the world.
right,
The baddest,
exactly.
Eric and the baddest man on the planet, and some crickets in between trying to
Right.
break the
Yeah.
awkward
I mean,
silence.
the one saving grace in that situation is that it was a roundtable
All right, all right.
situation. So there were other reporters. So once there was the horrifying silence, someone else could be like, "Okay, well, what about this?"
Well, it's
Your
like the
alarm goes
classic.
off.
With,
It's the
Your alarm
one-on-one
goes off.
interview versus the scrum. Yeah.
Saturday
Right.
morning, San Diego Comic-Con, your alarm goes off. What happens?
Okay, so Saturdays are typically the day I'm at Hall H, right? Which means I'm not doing interviews, and that ends up being like the most difficult part of this is that you'll get in for, I don't know, let's say something I'm kind of interested in, like Star Trek or the Penguin one year or something like that. And I'm just sticking around, especially if it's a Marvel year, because I've got to be there for that Marvel Studios presentation. And it's just very much figuring out, okay, what's going to be the most comfortable way to handle being in here for 4 hours? How much water do I need to bring in? How many snacks do I need to bring in? You know, how often do I need to get up, you know, and kind of circulate the blood a little?
Which is compounded for you because you have medical issues that require medication with eating and stuff, right? Yeah.
No, right, exactly. And I have diabetes, so it's like I do need a certain amount of fuel every couple hours to keep going. And that's outside of, okay, I also need to pay attention to what's ever going on. It's like if I'm actually going to write something about Star Trek, then I'm sitting there literally taking notes. I am doing live dictation.
Well, you put a lot more effort in this than I do.
No, I mean, because I've been doing this since 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered a couple years in that it was actually better for me to just do live dictation than to record the thing and then dictate it afterward. Like it was just better to do it live. And I discovered, I'll tell you this story. So I discovered I could actually do it because I was going to do roundtable interviews for the first Thor movie. And I was just going to be in the room to watch the trailer. And around the time I walked in,
Right.
this was the year that the stabbing incident happened.
You stabbed somebody?
No, I didn't stab somebody.
Just cover my bases. Yeah.
Just cover the bases, right? It was some dude in a Harry Potter shirt. That's how you know it wasn't me.
I love that. Sorry, not to minimalize what happened. It's just that's
right.
Avada Kedavra, motherfucker.
And when we say stabbing, like it was like a penknife that the guy had, and it was like over a seat. Like he stabbed the guy because the dude was sitting in a seat or something. But whatever the situation was, it meant that Hall H went into lockdown. I didn't know this because I was coming in from a different door, and and then at one point I'm sitting there just kind of getting ready. I noticed, hey, it's taking forever to get this presentation started, and I get a text from one of my editors who says, hey, the guy who's actually supposed to cover this presentation can't get in because of the stabbing. Can you do it?
What stabbing? What happened?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Say what now?
And so like, yeah, sure. I guess I'm sitting here. I can do it. And his response was, the one caveat is you have to do it live. You've got to be in our system. You've got to be doing quotes as soon as you can get them, and just keep updating and then clean it once you're done. And my response to him was, okay, but I'm also doing these interviews afterwards, so I won't be able to clean it up for several hours. And he says, fine, that's good. Go ahead and do it this way. And halfway through, and it was the Marvel presentation. Like it was literally the Thor trailer, and it was the first time that all the Avengers were on stage together.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So it was that year, and I discovered this was way better process to sit in the room and just do the dictation as it's happening, as though I were doing a live blog. Like that turned out to be a way better way, at least for me. Like I don't know if anyone else could do it this way, but for me, it was the way to go. And I've never stopped doing it since. It's like if I am doing panel coverage, I am sitting there grabbing quotes and acting as though I'm doing a live blog.
I love that, because that leads me to my next question, because you said ever since, and that would have been what, 2011, 2010, right around that?
God.
Yeah,
Probably about 2010. Yeah, it may have been 2010.
because that's when the first Thor came out. I think the back end of the year, right? Because I think Iron Man 2 came out earlier in the year. But you kind of like found your groove with that at that point. You said you've been covering it since 2008. Is there ever a point was there ever a point in that timeline, especially in the formative years, where you kind of figured out the routine, your regimen in terms of exactly how you do it? Because the first few years, I could see you kind of piecing it together. Plus, if it's a little bit different each year, you don't really know what to fully expect until you've had about 4 or 5 under your belt.
Yeah.
When was the point where you figured it out?
It was probably 2010. Like that.
Okay.
That was probably the year I figured out, okay, well, this is the mode for interviews. This is the mode for panel coverage. There was one year where I was basically my own boss and just way overbooked myself. So by Saturday, I'd been doing like 12-hour days, and I was just done.
My process is very different than yours. You're doing all this planning.
Tell me.
So my biggest planning is my outfits, man. Like I get up in the morning, I go, okay, those shoes, that shirt, that hat. But no, the big thing that I do when I first get on the floor is I find my safe spots. I find the creators that I know. I find the celebrities that I know, so that when I'm in that area, if I feel overwhelmed, I can go to that table. Jorge Corona in Denver is awesome. His wife fed me a sandwich. Like we sat behind the thing. I did a loose interview while he was drawing for Middle West. I got to see some spoilers for the end of Middle West. But if I'm going to be somewhere where there's a lot of people, I need to know where I can go to just kind of relax for a minute, get my regulation, because I get overwhelmed by lots of people. The other thing is that walking into a space, a lot of things, people say that I have resting bitch face, and I do, and I acknowledge this, whatever. I am a lot nicer than my face looks, but I can't handle interaction just constant, so I have to choose my interactions. I spend a lot of time with my panel guests, talking to them about what we're going to panel on, what they want to talk about, what their projects are coming up or whatever. So I make that connection. And then after I make that connection, I have to get off the floor because I have to save my energy and my stimulation for the panel itself. So I spend a lot of time with my panelists. I spend a lot of time with my vendors, walking around, talking to them, seeing what they want to talk about, what they're plugging, what sponsors are plugging and stuff like that. And I will talk to people if they come up to me and stuff like that. I'm not that guy that'll tell people to go away, but if too many people come up to me, I have to leave the floor for a while. So I do like the conventions where, at the Ahern, when I'm doing stuff with Steve, I can go to my room for a while and just kind of relax, turn on the TV, have a cold drink, just chill out for a minute, and then go back to the floor, because I do get overwhelmed with a lot of interactions. So I have to choose my interactions. So I when I'm covering an event, I look at the panels that I'm going to do and stuff like that, and I try to make sure that I have time to get from place to place. And especially if it's a creator that I know and that we've worked with before, I want to make sure that I'm on time, that I'm there, that I'm prepared, that I have my questions ready and stuff like that. But as far as I'll do like 2 or 3 things that I need to hit in a day if I'm covering a convention. And then I'd let things happen. Like, hey, there was a big thing that happened at Jorge's table, or there was a big thing that happened at Cullen's table or something like that. Or this announcement came out of nowhere or whatever. I leave myself space for that by not overbooking the rest of the day.
I love that. Because in a way, those organic moments, right.
Like I've even told, I've told Brendan, I've told some of our other writers at Comic-Con, it's like, plan on 2 things, just 2 key things a day. If something else comes up, great. But all you're worried about, all you're on the hook for is just 2 things.
And as someone who's more of a rookie.
Photo essay is great because people see what the experience is actually like. But what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Shit. I missed it.
Well, as you think of that, I'm just going to say this, because as a rookie, or at least more of a novice to the convention scene, but as someone who prepares in their own, professional, this professional realm, I think it's cool because as working with Brendan, there are times where it's obviously we very much schedule it out and map it out to who's going to tackle what. So I love the fact, knowing when it's my time, Brendan not only is basically off the stage, off the clock for a few, he can go recharge. So not only do I have the stage covered, Brendan, I even tell other people, I tell all the people on the broadcast team and the production crew, everyone, Brendan is indisposed. If you need anything, for real though, relay it to me, because I'm not going to even text him. I'm going to let him have his downtime, because then when he comes in and then I have my downtime, now it's my time to kind of shut down, and Brendan could kind of take the reins. So I think that's a great way of doing it in a way to get off the grid and then get back into the inner workings of it all.
When there's a nice green room, it's really, really good. It makes a big difference. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that. I think I'm going to try to make space for that this year, because one thing that I don't do well in San Diego is that I don't budget those kind of off-hour me time sort of things. It's very much if I'm not actively interviewing or in a panel, then I'm trying to write. I'm trying to get stuff done. Right. I don't.
I think one of the biggest things at the first convention. that I went to, also one of the things that I was like, is like, I got to get these turned in tonight. And it's like, well, you got to get to a place where it's like, I might get it turned in tonight. Ideally, I would get it turned in tonight. But if I go back to my room and I pass out, I have to let myself pass out.
Yeah. And you know what I love about that? Because it also shows the difference in the timing of broadcasting and being on the print side, because, or even this is the website, whether it's video content, whatever, you guys, so much of what you do, you have to go back to it, curate it, edit it, go through a with a fine-tooth comb, because it's not finalized. Me, when that red light turns off, my work's done. So to me, it's more in the moment type of thing where I have to perform and entertain. Not saying you guys don't, but your guys' work is a little bit more disjointed because it kind of has to assemble gradually. Me, it's just do a segment.
It's interesting you mention that, because a lot of the way San Diego is built is more accommodating to television or on screen, right? It's not really designed to accommodate print the way that it used to be.
Right.
To the point where I remember the first time I did roundtable interviews, no one had phones out. It was all little voice recorders, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm the weirdo because I don't have a phone. Like I'm not shooting video. I have my little recorder out, right? Like
it's where everyone else is like,
where everyone else is like that, right? Or they've got their tripod out. They've got.
You want to hear something funny about those little recorders?
And just like and I literally remember one of the first jobs I ever did was a press event for the Speed Racer movie.
Okay.
It was roundtable interviews for that too, and so we get into the room. The Long Beach Grand Prix is going on behind us, so we occasionally hear cars coming through.
Wow!
And exactly, just like that, right? And Christina Ricci sits down, and one of the reporters gets their phone out and kind of, hits record and all this stuff, and she's sort of like, "Oh, I didn't know we were recording video." And it like everything stops for a moment because she thought this was a print only thing, right?
Right.
And it wasn't like she was, not ready to do on camera. I think it's
taking it back
her process.
Yeah.
Right? She thought, oh, this is just a conversation. I don't have to be 100% on. And it's so different now because talent comes into these rooms. Right. Expecting the roundtable interviews will also be on camera.
Yeah. Well, no, but when I did, so I forget the name of the show, but it was like when the strike was happening, it was Little Gray from Grey's Anatomy was doing a sci-fi show.
Oh, right. The Hallmark show.
The thing that was really interesting about that is that it was a very informal interview. And I really, really enjoyed that interview because the young kid, and I don't know the names off the top of my head, but the young kid, it was one of her first press things. She's obviously, in her teens or whatever. She hasn't done a lot of this stuff, but Little Gray and the male actor were very experienced with dealing with press. And so when I'd put a question out, they would answer, they'd look to her, she'd start to answer, and they would kind of give her little prompts to help her. And I thought it was so great because they were protecting her in the room. And then when they were on stage, they did the same thing for their panel, where if she started to falter a little bit, they would kind of show her, this is how we answer this type of question. And I thought it was really, really cool how they were protecting the business while protecting this actress and not letting her put her foot in her mouth, but kind of showing her like, this is the way that we do it in a comfortable setting where it was more of like a guidance than a rebuke. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's what's so cool too, because it seems like obviously when all shit hits the fan, that may not be the case. But when things are going smoothly, it seems like a good convention who are run by people on the up and up. At least in my experience, they're going to do that, right? And that's what's kind of cool about it is that when you could kind of keep it professional, but drop some of the formalities. That's when it's really fun. And even this work in some of the super convention with Steve and Brennan and the PokeCon, you have elements of that which just make it really, really fun and really interesting. But I'm curious to hear from you both because, Brennan, you've talked about sensory overload. Eric, you talked about having days where you kind of eliminate any opportunity for you to kind of soak it all in. Have you ever both found yourself, because I know burnout is something that's kind of thrown around a lot these days as a word, but it is a real thing. Have you guys ever had a year where it could be any event, whether it be San Diego or anything else, where you thought, oh man, I'm running on fumes. This is going to be a tough one.
Usually the money runs out.
San Diego.
Great answer, Brendan. Great answer.
Usually the money runs out about the same time that my energy runs out. And so
we're good. We're good.
It's kind of time to hang out in the hotel room anyway.
I love that.
No, for me, it was absolutely last San Diego. It just, and it wasn't even a Marvel year. It was like the kind of, because there wasn't a Marvel presentation, the big Hall H highlight was Peacemaker. Right. And it was a fun panel. Like it was really entertaining. But I knew, okay, since it's Peacemaker, all I have to do is update an article. I don't have to write a new one, right? So it wasn't like I had a bunch of work waiting for me when I got out. But I got out, I went to have some dinner, and like I crashed so hard at that dinner.
Yeah.
It was
brick wall.
So nuts. Yeah, it was just I am done.
Yeah.
Like it was so good that the next day I didn't really have anything scheduled. Like it was the Lucas Museum presentation. Like, oh, maybe I'll go to that and see what George Lucas has to say.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything I was planning to cover. It's like, oh, maybe I'll shoot some video for the Instagram, and that was it. And I'm so glad I didn't have to like prep for an interview or anything the next day, because I was at my wit's end.
Really?
After that, and it's not like I was having a really hard time. It was
one of those things.
It was just one of those things. It was just
it bit you.
The tank was dry.
It jumped out and bit you.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny, because sometimes it doesn't even affect your work. Sometimes it's actually when you do your best work. There have been times where I've been at a broadcast, or it'd be a talk show, I'm calling a game, it's a remote, whatever it may be, and once like the mic goes, the mic goes closed, the camera gets shut off, I'm thinking, wow, that was great. 2 minutes later, I literally feel like I just, went through a 36-minute prize fight, right? Like it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily have to be a shitty performance on your end. It's just something gets you and bites you where it hurts, and then you just gotta crash out. Yeah, or not crash out, but unwind.
This is my favorite moment from a convention, and that's
Beardsley.
Me. That is me.
I remember when you
looked
like this.
That's Daryl McDaniels.
That's Daryl. That's D.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Daryl makes comics. He's got a label called DMC, and dude, this was one of my very first ever conventions, and
what a great picture.
This is one of my favorite moments. But it's funny because if this comes up in the electronic photo thing or whatever, they're like, "Who's that dude with the beard with DMC?" And it's like, "Well, that's me." And they're like, "No, it's not."
You know what I absolutely love? Like, what year was this? Just sort of like rough estimate, Brendan, if you can remember.
Oh man, that's got to be
just like general ballpark.
2018, okay. I think. Yeah.
I absolutely love how in 2018, DMC is still not downplaying the epic crossover for Walk This Way, because look at the t-shirt.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep, love it.
And I'll tell you all day long, Run DMC saved Aerosmith and prolonged their career by a good 40 years by coming out with Walk This Way. And like my eldest kid, he's 26 now, but when he was in high school, he kept like talking about like how, old people suck so bad because they're trying to dress young and they're listening to young music. And I was like, how old do you think these people are? And he goes, well, those old guys, they're probably 60, whatever. And I'm like, and what are they wearing? He's like tight jeans and t-shirts and leather jackets. I'm like, so the dudes that invented that look, in the 50s and 60s. And then what bands are you talking about? It's like Aerosmith. I'm like, bro, Aerosmith was out in the 60s. It's an old band.
He's talking about the Greasers, right? And I love it too, just because, like you said, Aerosmith was getting stagnant in the 80s, revitalized them. You introduced Run DMC to a whole new audience. It's honestly probably the only musical crossover that like 100% objectively was perfect, because like anything, it's all timing. The timing was perfect. The people were perfect. The song was perfect. It's honestly one of those things, because you look back on it, I think personally, there's a lot of Aerosmith songs that are better, and there's a billion Run DMC songs that are better, but it's not about how great the song is. It's about how important it was.
Well,
and it doesn't get much more important than that.
Daryl talks about it when he's talking about his comics or whatever, how like they came out, they weren't going to talk about, bitches and hoes and gold and drugs and all that stuff. Like they wrote songs about high school. They wrote songs about their shoes. They put Adidas back on the map, because Adidas used to be the Walmart shoes that I got made fun of for wearing, and they made Adidas this really cool thing. And Adidas
not just the suit, the shoes, the whole suit. Yeah, they're still reaping the benefits of that.
Always. Half the time when you see Johnny Jimenez, who used to do the show with us, half the time you see Johnny, he's in an Adidas tracksuit.
I think for me, it may be every time I've seen him.
Well, no, it's either the garage shirt that says Toy Shack, which is very iconic. It's iconic for his look, or it's the Adidas tracksuit, which is also iconic for his look. But it's funny because you see him in one or the other.
So good. And their music, and a lot of golden age hip hop doesn't age as well as others. Run DMC you play now, and this is absolutely the production, the lyrics, the performance element.
I was at the gym this morning. They were playing Run DMC.
Love it. Timeless, baby.
All right, so now that you've had that in-depth, the in-depth behind the scenes of press at big conventions that nobody asked for, that is our time for the day. That at the bottom there is Erik Amaya. In the middle, we've got Brett Lawson. I'm Brendan Allen. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Oh, Paul didn't get to do his 30 seconds. I'm Paul Vato. I'm selling booze and underwear with
Scars?
pouches in it, and
Scars in
And I'm Brett Lawson, and since Paul Vato's not here, I'm going to respectfully be
I
quiet.
say a lot of
and just have a normal
inappropriate
out-
things.
Yeah, and just have a normal outro because Paul's not here, so I can just be a decent, civilized human being.
I talk about normal things, but in very abnormal ways. 'Cause
some
that's
sort of book. I think there's always a book.
Yeah, Kama Sutra.
something about dirty beds, I think.
Oh yeah. See, Paul, we're doing your work for you.
PaulVato.com, I think, right?
Vato coin.
Something about owls.
See, we listen. That proves that we listen.
Yeah, take that,
He likes
Paul.
owls or something.
Oh no, it's at hedgehogs.